Go.
Hi, welcome to Astropath's first instructional video. I don't know that it's our first, but it's our first new one. Astropath is a combination of Laurie Farrington of Astrolore. You can find her at astrolore.org. And myself, Jenny Date, and I am of hiddenpathastrology.com. So find both of our things there. Like our video if you're willing. Check out our other stuff. We have quite a few different things on our channel. So please check that out. Like it, share it, make comments. We love to get comments. So welcome to our first video. And Laurie's going to tell us first video of what?
All right. So what our plan is going forward is we want to really help folks that are, in the process of learning astrology and want to know more. We want to really help you understand transits. And initially, Jenny and I thought, oh, we can just make a quick little video about transits. But as we gave it some thought, it's a complex topic. And there's a lot of different pieces that we can teach you. So today we're going to do a quick, simple video, basically about the current ingresses and how to think of those. Ingress means when a planet moves from one sign to another. And we are making this video on March 22nd, 2023. And there's a lot of very big active ingresses occurring right now. So we're going to kind of talk about that now, but we're using this as a springboard into some videos. We're planning a series of maybe 6 different videos of really going step by step on how to work with transits in a more global fashion. Does that make sense? Am I leaving something out, Jenny?
No, I think that you've covered the basics of what we're trying to do here. This is really intended to be pretty simple. So
yeah. So first of all, what's the difference? Let's just give a few definitions. I just said what an ingress is. An ingress is when a planet leaves one sign and enters the next. What is a transit?
Well, a transit, it can refer to a couple things, but let's just keep it simple. The biggest thing about a transit is when a planet out in the sky right now is somehow contacting or aspecting a natal planet in your own chart. So that is probably the most straightforward definition of a transit. We can also say, though, that, oh, so-and-so planet is transiting through your house. And that would mean that, like the planet Pluto, which is just about to move into Aquarius, is going through your house that holds Aquarius, and it's going to transit that Aquarius house for, 20 years. Right?
Right. Yeah. So transit, people, you'll hear it used in different ways. Really, what a transiting planet is just a planet in motion, really. A planet in motion. If it's moving through your 3rd house, it's a planet transiting your 3rd house. If that particular planet you're talking about is conjuncting your moon, it is transiting your moon. So there's different ways to think about it, and we're going to break those down into different videos and try to make them really simple for people who haven't been studying this for 100 years and are really interested in learning. But for today, we're talking about these big ingresses and how you can look at your chart and see where they're moving. Now, one of the most important things at this point with this video is to have some sort of an understanding of what the houses mean. You want to know what the houses mean. You can get that information in a million different places. At some point, Jenny and I will do videos about the houses as well. But you can get simple information. The other thing that we want to make sure you understand is that we do use whole sign houses. And what that means is that each sign holds the space of an entire house in your chart. There's 12 houses. There's 12 signs. Using whole sign works quite simply. Both of us came originally from using Placidus for many, many years, and changing from Placidus to whole sign has been such a powerful game changer for me. So I'd encourage you, if you're used to looking at a different house system, try working with a whole sign. It's a very powerful system. So enough of all that.
Well, let me add to that real quick. I do want to say that there are many different house systems out there, and it doesn't really matter what one you choose. You have to choose the one that works for you.
Yeah.
So conduct a survey, try different ones out, like Laurie's suggesting, try out whole sign houses, try out other ones. But this is by no means you have to do it this way. This is what we do. We do it because it's really nice and simple, and it really helps with the astrological understanding. So I just wanted to add that. And other than that, I think let's roll.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about it. What about these ingresses and how do I find them in my own chart? First of all, have your chart in front of you. If you've got it in whole sign, that's the best as far as following us along.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to do here is get out this chart that shows all of the major transits right now, or ingresses, I should say. And this is a really powerful time. The reason why we're doing this video now is because we have a lot of this going on. We have had some major shifts. Now, this chart is actually the chart for the very moment that Pluto, which you can see right at the top here of the chart, is going into Aquarius. What you will also see in this chart, you will see that Saturn, if you're following counterclockwise here, Saturn has very recently gone into Pisces after 3+ years in Aquarius. We are in Aries season, so the sun just moved into Aries on March 20th. And then finally, Cancer is about to be occupied by Mars. So you see Mars down there. It's at 29 degrees of Gemini. It's been there for 7 months, which is a long time for Mars, and it's going into Cancer. So this little quick chart just gives you an example of these 4 different major movements that are happening.
Yeah. And one thing I want to just bring up here, and something that you need to understand for transits of any sort, is the planets. When you're looking at a chart, the planets are moving counterclockwise around the zodiac, through the zodiac. They're moving counterclockwise. There's a lot of movement going on. Planets are going around the sun, and that's, this movement. During the course of the day, the planets are moving the opposite direction. Yeah. Oh yeah, thank you, Jennie. So during the course of the day, the sun comes up over the horizon and goes this way. But when we're looking at transits, we're going counterclockwise. So I want to just be clear about that so you don't get confused. And yeah.
I feel a video coming on about that.
Yeah, there's a video.
That's a helpful piece of information, but it can be confusing until you really get your head around it.
I remember being so confused in my early studies, being so confused. What direction are things moving in?
Yeah.
But yeah, transits are always moving counterclockwise around your chart. So that's the first thing to think about. Now you can see how all these planets are just making this big movement. And, another thing that you always need to know for transits is the speed of the planets. Pluto has been in Capricorn for almost 20 years. Now it's finally moved out. Saturn has been in Aquarius for 3 years. Now it's moved out. The sun moves month to month through the signs. And Mars, like Jennie just said, normally Mars goes through pretty quickly, but because of its recent retrograde, it's been in there a long time, which is one of the reasons its movement into a new sign is so important right now.
So the first step here is, hopefully you have your chart in front of you, but just take a look at these symbols. Depending on your level of astrological knowledge, look at Aquarius, Pluto in Aquarius, look at Pisces, and look at Aries. It's kind of nice because they're all in a row. And then find the sign of Cancer as well. So find those in your own chart if you have those open. Also, you want to understand which planet is which. Pluto's kind of got that cup at the top there. In fact, these symbols relate to some ancient symbolism, but that also could be another video. And then Saturn's next. The sun is pretty obvious, the sun with that dot in the middle. And then Mars is the symbol for the masculine, which also could be a whole nother video. Right. But anyway, so just for now, get that. Is there anything else you want to say about this simple chart, Laurie,
Well,
before
no,
we?
I don't think so, but I
Okay.
think, yeah, get your chart and circle those points. Circle the Aquarius, the Pisces, the Aries, and the Cancer. They are unlikely to be in the exact same, in the same spots. They'll be someplace else, depending on what your rising sign is, but look for those symbols and circle those symbols and draw a little picture near those symbols of the planet that's about to move. And that'll give you a place to start.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna put up a different video here. I mean, different screen here. Hi. So this next one, we're gonna actually look at a blank chart, and this is somebody's chart, believe it or not.
We'll tell you who later.
Yes. And so first of all, you want to identify again here. Let's find Aquarius.
Right.
And then let's find all of our symbols here. So
Okay. So first we were looking for Aquarius. And in
okay.
this person's chart, Aquarius is in the second house. Here's the other thing you want to remember. The sign that is on the cusp of the house this is the beginning of the house.
Mm-hmm.
So Aquarius is in this entire house. So you want to find Aquarius, you want to find Pisces, you want to find Aries, and you want to find Cancer. So for this person, these are the houses where energies are really changing in this person's life.
So just very, very simply, with a very basic understanding of just the houses, you know that this person's second house, well, the first house has had a lot of activity, the house of self. So you know their second, third, and fourth, and their seventh are being lit up. So that very simply, second is money and resources, third is communication and siblings, fourth is family and home, and the seventh is partnerships. So this dramatic change in all of our lives, but in this person's life, that's where it's showing up, is in those sort of just simple topics. And I think so. Saturn went into Pisces on March 7th. So as of March 7th, this person had a more serious tone entering the place of siblings. What else do you have to say about that, Laurie?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I hope you've all watched the video that we made about Saturn's ingress and about Pluto's ingress and about Aries season. So this is kind of connected to all of those videos as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Saturn moving into Pisces brought Saturn into this person's third house. And we talked a lot in that video about Saturn's ingress as the stabilizing a dream. Wherever Pisces is in a person's chart, you've got some idealized view or belief of yourself in that area. So this person probably has some idealized vision of their siblings, of their ability to communicate, those kind of issues. So Saturn moves in here, and it's time to get serious about creating some sort of a structure in that area.
Yeah, and the third house is such an interesting place because it's that immediate environment. It's how you communicate. It's all those kind of daily kind of connections, and therefore it can be your siblings, it can be those close friends that you talk to regularly, and then it also can be those much more shallow things, right? Like the postal worker or the cashier that you only see once, but you nonetheless have a little conversation. And
or neighbors too.
Yeah, neighbor, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So all those topics are being brought into focus, and how it manifests for this particular person, it depends on their life. There's a whole different set of levels it can mean. So that's the interesting part to me.
Right.
Oh, sorry, did you want to add to?
Well, just that, Saturn will be in there for about 3 years. So during the course of that 3 years, and for this person, it's in that area that we've been talking about, there is a lot of serious energy there for the next 3 years, a lot of building and stabilizing and hard work wherever Saturn moves, depending on so many factors, including age, because Saturn is the planet of time and the planet of age. When we're young, Saturn can be really difficult. And the older we get, the easier it is, because Saturn is the planet of maturity. So whatever this person is going through in that area is for the purpose of them stabilizing that area and maturing. You know, maybe this person has to develop a more mature relationship with their siblings, or a more mature idea of how they communicate.
Yeah. So lots of topics. The second, this is an order of time ingress, is the sun going into Aries, which happened on March 20th. It's only going to be there for a month. So now you're thinking about something much quicker. And, you know, just as only a month that it's going to be shining a light on it, because the sun is this, you know, bright shining object. So it's shining a light on family matters for Aries season. So every year for this person at Aries season, there's some way in which family matters are brought into the spotlight. So that's what's happening here. Great time for this person to think about taking action. What do I need to take action on today? What sorts of things have my attention that I need to just get done and get checked off the list? I mean, it's that sort of energy.
Right. Yeah, I remember when I was first teaching astrology 100 years ago, I remember really getting people to just pay attention to the sun as it moved house to house. Where the sun moves, light and warmth follow. So right now, and because of the new moon and all these other things in current time, there's really a need to take action in that area. So wherever Aries is in your chart, for this person, it's the 4th house. But some action needs to be taken in that area.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of, this one's pretty simple in a way.
Yes.
So the third ingress in according to time is March 23rd. Pluto goes into Aquarius. So that brings in, you know, this is slow moving times. This is 20 years of empowerment to do with wealth and resources. Again, there's multiple ways to look at this, but now we're looking at a very long, slow transit. I like stick figure Pluto. Nice. So this, I definitely recommend watching the video on this, because we definitely spent some time going into this topic and what it looks like. Because this is not always, I find with Pluto transits, I mean, you can't always feel these are often unconscious forces, things way beyond the control of our personal lives. They impact our personal lives, but it's often these forces you just can't see. I mean, Pluto is hidden often. So nonetheless, it represents some kind of transformation around resources, which can be self-esteem, self-worth. It can be money. It can be possessions in general. Yeah.
Yeah, Pluto's a fascinating planet, and you know, it moves so slow that if it's not directly impacting a personal planet in your chart or making a big change like this, we kind of are unaware of it, because it's below the surface somehow. But when it does impact our charts and change houses like this, we become a lot more aware of it. So, you know, Pluto, people get scared about Pluto and think of it as, oh, it's the great destroyer. And, you know, really, I mean, it is. But at the same time, really, Pluto's job is to empower. It's the destruction part of Pluto is simply, you know, Pluto's job is to destroy what is in the way of that necessary transformation in order to empower. So Pluto moving into the 2nd house, you know, there's going to be a shift around money, resources, or self-worth that is for the ultimate goal of empowering that area.
Yeah, I like the way you describe that, Laurie, too, because I think sometimes, like, just this idea that people get scared, because the truth of the matter is, when we're talking about these ingresses into your houses, we are talking about shifts and changes in tone. It's different if this planet is landing exactly on a very personal point in your chart. Let's say your moon. That becomes a once in a lifetime transit, as we were talking about the distinction. So and you will learn more about that as we unfold more of these videos, but I just wanted to get that across. Like, people get scared, but a lot of times these are shifts in tone when we're talking about it at this ingress level. Transit level, it's just more impactful and really presents opportunities for major change. I just wanted to add that because I like how you put that, because sometimes people do get freaked out, and that is not the goal here.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
education couple.
I love how you said earlier, oh, and I think I might have made a note and I probably won't remember, but you said something earlier that really hit me, this whole idea of our purpose is not to predict. Our
Hmm.
purpose is to show us how the energies are changing so that we can create.
Yeah.
You know,
Like that.
if Pluto is doing something and you feel like you're totally, have no control of your life, that's one thing. But if you see it coming and you can work with it, it's like, oh, okay. So Pluto's job is to get rid of what isn't working and empower me. We can respond differently if we
Mhm.
know what's happening.
Yeah, and it's not, and your life is your life. So whatever's going on in your life, this is, you know, this is attuned to that part of your life. It's not like a wrecking ball that comes out of nowhere and you're like, what? I mean, this is, we're all working in the processes of our lives, and you can use these cycles to work with these processes in your life. And that's definitely our intent. So um yeah, and so the last one here is happening just a couple days. We have Mars moving into Cancer, and Mars will be in Cancer for a couple of months. I confess to not having that date right in front of me, but nonetheless, this is a little
Well,
bit slower than the sun, or maybe you do, Laurie.
well, I know it moves in on the 25th.
Yeah, and no, it moves
I'm
in on
not,
March 25th, but I'm not sure when it
yeah,
moves out.
I'm not sure either.
But it's okay, because the idea here is it's a couple months, is a little bit longer than that sun moving through Aries, but it's not a long time. And what this signifies is some sort of action that needs to be taken to take care of the partnership. So this is, and this is all partnerships. This is this person's partner in life, and then anyone else that they're in a one-on-one relationship with.
Right.
So some sort of action around that.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think it's good to think about as well is because Mars was so long for this person in the sixth house, so in whatever house Gemini is, the house before Cancer, because Mars was so long in that area and something was renegotiated, figured out in that area, you bring what you've learned into the next house. So
Nice.
yes, Mars moving into this person's seventh house, there's a lot of learning that has been done on how to take care of the self day to day. Now it comes out into, okay, how do I use that to directly support my partner or my partnership?
Yeah. Nice. So hopefully from this exercise, you've gotten the idea that some idea of what the focus is in this person's life according to these ingresses. You know, so there's some sort of focus on wealth. There's some kind of maturing that needs to go on with the sibling or close friends or communication style. There's some way in which an action needs to be taken with the family now, and that impacts the partnerships that are involved. So just in a snapshot, just
Yeah.
thinking about the forces of life, right? And
Yeah,
nothing
that's
happens in a
cool.
vacuum. These all happen together, these processes, which is where the layers of astrology, it starts getting a little complex because you're having to layer in the reality of life. But just hopefully you get that kind of snapshot, and that you've looked at your own life and you're getting a little bit of a snapshot.
Right. There's some unusual power dynamics occurring in the area where Aquarius is. There's, the structuring of a dream wherever Pisces is. There's action that needs to be taken wherever Aries is, and energy that is being brought into the area where Cancer is. Yeah. I
Nice.
just said the same thing you did, only
No,
in slightly different words.
it's good. People hear it different ways.
Yes.
So are you all ready to see who we're talking about?
Oh, sure.
Okay, let's bring that one in here. Um, okay. Here we go. We were talking
Ta-da!
about, ta-da, Prince Harry. Easy one,
Okay.
he's in the news a lot. So now what we're showing is this bi-wheel where you kind of get to see with more clarity what's happening. The inner wheel is Prince Harry. You can see he was born September 15th. So you can see his sun in Virgo up there in Prince Harry's ninth house. So you kind of get to see, you know, this is his birth chart where all these things are. And then you can see where the second house has Pluto, the third house now has Saturn in it. You know, the sun has moved into the fourth house and Mars is about to move into that seventh house. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting to look at that and just think about how, I mean, he's been in the news so much, and we have whatever awareness we have of what's been going on in his life, and I haven't paid a whole lot of attention, but you can't miss some of it. But it is interesting that Saturn, the question that comes up in my mind is around his relationship with his brother. You know, it's clearly his relationship with his brother has been damaged, and now Saturn moving in there, you know, how's that going to play out over the course of this time? And we could get into, I mean, I could slide down a rabbit hole looking at the particular transits from planets to planets so easily here, but we're going to resist that. We're going to resist that. Yeah.
I think it is worth just, you know, not going down to some, we're not doing a major thing around Prince Harry's chart, but just the simple idea, like we can all see, because he's so in the public eye, that there is going to be some question around the way that he works with wealth, because he's moving into a different parent. He's still going to be a part of the royal family one way or another, but there's a different thing here. He's just published a book. We could probably go into something about where that shows up, but we're not going to right now. Though it is interesting to see Saturn has moved into his third house. So you're talking about his change in relationship with his brother. That could go a bunch of different ways, right? I mean, presumably his brother will be king at some point. You know, that, who knows? And that's a 3 to 4 year transit. So
right. And you know, one of the questions that jumped into my mind when I saw that Saturn was in his third house is just this whole thing. You know, he just wrote this book recently, but my understanding, and I might be wrong, I might be wrong, but my understanding is that it was mostly written by a ghostwriter, you know, that interviewed him, whatever. I don't think he actually sat down with pen and paper or on his computer and wrote the words of that book, but possibly through the course of this period of time, he might really realize that the necessity of his own voice getting more into stabilizing that and creating more from his own, you know, maybe he'll write a book about his brother, who knows.
And I haven't read his book, but I know that I've had people have listened to it on audiobooks and things like that, and there's been some interesting responses, and I don't know if this is appropriate or not, because like I said, haven't read that book, but Saturn always, Pisces always talks about empathy and compassion, and I don't know if part of his book will help shine a light onto some of the issues of the royal family. I don't really know in any kind of empathetic way. I'm not going to say for sure. I'm from England, so I'm just not even going to not sticking my oar into that one. But it's interesting to think about. And just this, you know, what is this month-long period of him possibly taking some sort of action with his family that may or may not be something that shows up in the news, though it's, I mean, from my point of view, I just think it would be horrible to be this famous and have every friggin' move like tracked and looked at and lit. You know, of course I have a Scorpio moon, so, but anyway, it's interesting to think about, is there something he could take an action that wouldn't show up in the news? Anyway, and then the last part is just how's this impacting his relationship? Like what's happening with Mars going into that seventh house, and an appropriate meeting of that energy is for him to think about, how does he take care of that partnership? How does he take care of it as an entity, and how he behaves in it as well?
Yeah, it's interesting with Cancer on the cusp of his seventh, how he naturally is very protective of his relationship. And you see that, you know, that's one thing that it has been clear. Is that he really does want to be protective of his wife. So it's interesting how that all plays out. So yeah, I think that's just a quick little example. And I hope this has allowed any of you watching this to work with your own chart and just kind of putting the pieces together. I think one of the values of doing this video is, you know, we did the video of the ingress of Saturn, the ingress of Pluto, Mars, but to kind of look at it all together. I think it is really good. So hopefully this has helped you to see how all these changes are kind of happening together in your own life.
Yeah, I think this is a fun intro video. I hope you enjoyed it, and look for some more videos down the track along this vein, and we'll let you know when we start making those. So
Yes.
thank you very much.
Thank
Laurie.
you, Jenny. Thank you all. Be well. Bye-bye.
Bye.